My mother is crying tonight, and I finally know why. The night is wide and quiet. The walls hold their breath. The world slows into a soft, heavy silence, and I walk through it with the weight of her sorrow pulling at my steps. Each step telling me, come closer, come see, come understand. My mother sits in a corner of the room, her hands folded, her face lowered, her shoulders trembling like they are remembering storms. She once survived alone, long before I knew how to read her pain, long before I learned that tears have their own language. I stand beside her, not touching, not speaking, just listening to the way her breath breaks, the way her heart speaks in the tremor of her fingers, the way the air becomes different. When a mother is crying, tonight I understand something I should have understood years ago. That strength is not the thing she always pretended it was. That courage is not silence. That love has a weight, and sometimes that weight is too heavy, even for the one who taught me how to carry the world. I finally see the lines on her face, lines that are not age, but stories she never told, nights she never slept, fears she never voiced, promises she kept until her own hands shook, dreams she delayed until they lost their shape. All for me, all for us, all for the pieces of this home that she held together without asking for anything. I kneel beside her, as gently as I can, like the floor might break, like her heart might shatter. And I let the silence between us speak first, because sometimes silence is the only safe place for pain. Tonight I know why she is crying. She is crying because she has carried too much, because she has hidden too many storms inside her chest, because she has been the sun and the shield, the hope and the sacrifice, the giver of everything, the receiver of nothing. She is crying because she is tired, not of us, but of surviving. She is crying because life has taken more from her than she ever admitted, because she fought battles we never saw and covered wounds we never noticed. She is crying because she is human, because sorrow comes for everyone, even the ones who pretend they are unbreakable, especially them. I look at her and I feel something rise in me, a quiet promise, a steady flame, a vow shaped not in words, but in the way I place my hand over hers, in the way I lift her head, in the way I tell her, without speaking, you are not alone. I want her to know that tonight, the weight she carried falls onto my shoulders a little, that her tears are not embarrassing, that her pain is not a burden, that her story is not forgotten, that her strength has shaped every corner of who I am, and that I see her truly, deeply. Finally, the night stays quiet, but something changes. Her tears slow, not because the pain is gone, but because she knows I am here, because she knows she no longer holds her storms alone. Tonight I understand. Tonight I learn. Tonight I finally know why she is crying, and I promise myself I will never again let her carry her sadness. Without the shelter, the night passes slowly, and morning rises with a pale, gentle light. But the memory of my mother crying still holds my heart in its hands like a fragile thing, like something that must not be forgotten. I wake with a new understanding, a new way of seeing her, not as the unshakable pillar I once believed, but as a soul who has endured quietly for far too long, a soul made of tenderness and storms, a soul that has sacrificed itself, piece by piece, for the sake of everyone but herself. I walk into the kitchen, where she moves with soft, tired steps, her eyes still red, her voice softer than usual. And I realize how many mornings she has greeted the world this way, carrying last night's sorrow on her back, still preparing breakfast, still caring, still giving, still loving. She looks at me, and there is a shadow of apology in her gaze, as if she thinks breaking down makes her weak, as if her tears need forgiveness. But I shake my head slowly, letting my silence tell her there is nothing to be sorry for. There is only truth. There is only love. There is only the tenderness of a mother who has forgotten how to rest. I sit beside her, close, closer than last night, close enough to let her feel that I am here in every breath she takes, close enough to let her know she does not have to hide her sorrow behind closed doors anymore. I watch her hands, the same hands that held me as a child, hands that cooked and mended, hands that worked without pause, hands that prayed in the quiet, hands that trembled last night. And I feel something stir within me, a desire to protect her, a desire to give her the peace she has denied herself for years. She begins to speak, her voice low, her words slow, carrying the weight of memories she never wanted us to see, and though the rule says no punctuation, her voice breaks in a rhythm that needs none. She tells me about the burdens she carried, the fears she buried, the nights she cried alone, the dreams she let slip away, because survival demanded it, because motherhood required it, because love insisted on it. I listen, not with my ears alone, but with my heart, with a patience shaped by last night's tears, with an understanding that comes when you finally see your mother, not as a shield, but as a human being. Her story flows like a river long closed, finally finding its path again. And I sit there catching every word, every memory, every wound, as if gathering fallen pieces to place back into her hands, whole again. When she finishes, she looks at me with uncertainty, as if afraid she has revealed too much. But I hold her hands gently, letting her feel the steady warmth, the quiet promise, the vow that now lives in my soul. I tell her without words that she is allowed to rest, that she is allowed to feel, that she is allowed to be held, the way she has held the world for far too long. The morning grows brighter, yet something inside the house softens, as if the walls themselves understand the weight that has been lifted, as if the air learns to breathe again, as if the quiet becomes a friend. Instead of the day moves forward, slow and gentle, like it knows not to disturb the tenderness settling over our home after a night of tears, after a morning of truth. My mother sits by the window, watching the world outside, but her eyes are far away, looking into memories, into years that shaped her, into moments she buried deep within herself. I sit across from her, watching the light fall across her face, and I realize how beautiful she is. Not in the way the world measures beauty, but in the quiet strength carved into her soul, in the patience written on her skin, in the love that never needed words to make itself known. She turns to me as if sensing my thoughts, and there is a softness in her gaze, a softness I have not seen in years, a softness that tells me she finally feels seen, finally feels understood, finally feels allowed to be more than the role she carried. We talk without speaking, our breaths moving in a rhythm that only family understands. a rhythm shaped by shared quiet, and the kind of love that rises gently. After a long hidden sorrow, I walk to her and sit close, letting the silence settle like a warm blanket, letting the room breathe around us, letting her know with my presence that she is not alone, that she will not be alone again. She reaches for my hand, a small motion, but it shakes something inside me, because she has always been the one to give comfort, to offer strength, to carry the weight. And now, for once, she allows someone else to hold her. Her voice rises again, soft as a breeze, barely touching the air, and she tells me truths she never said out loud. She speaks of dreams she had, dreams she set aside, dreams she whispered only in prayer, dreams she folded away when life demanded sacrifices, dreams she kept like fragile flowers, pressed between the pages of time. She speaks of fears, the ones she hid so we could grow without them, the ones she swallowed so we could laugh freely, the ones she battled alone, so we would never know how close pain lived to her heart. And she speaks of love, a love so vast, so ancient, so patient, that it carried her through every hardship, even when no one noticed, even when she felt invisible, even when she trembled in the quiet of nights like last night. I listen, gathering every word like fallen petals, knowing each one holds a piece of her, a piece of the woman behind the mother, a piece of the human soul that I am only now learning to truly understand. When her voice fades, I lift her hand to my chest, letting her feel my heartbeat, letting her feel that her story now lives in me, that her pain has a place, that her love has a home, that her strength has an echo. In my own becoming, the afternoon sun grows warmer, and she closes her eyes, not in sorrow, but in rest, real rest, the kind she never allowed herself, the kind she deserves, more than anyone I have ever known. I watch her breathe, slow and steady, her shoulders no longer heavy, her hands no longer trembling, her heart no longer carrying its weight alone. And I make a final vow, quiet, unbroken, strong as air. I will